Wednesday nights were usually quiet in our apartment, the kind of quiet that makes you think nothing in the world can go wrong. The lights were low, the hallway smelled faintly of shampoo from Celine's recent shower, and somewhere in the distance, I could hear Jess pretending to be on a work call. Her voice carried through her door, too polished to be real, like a bad theater audition. I was alone in the kitchen, stomach rumbling like a small animal trapped in my chest. The fridge door creaked open, and there it was. The last slice. Yesterday's pizza, sitting on a paper plate, slightly curled at the edges but still beautiful. Cold, stiff, but salvageable, a relic of better times. No mold, no visible sins. This was not just food. It was redemption after a long day of spreadsheets and back-to-back Slack messages. I didn't hesitate. Grabbed the plate, slid the slice into the microwave like an offering to the gods of convenience. No fancy settings. No special plate. Just pure, hunger-driven instinct. 3 minutes. That's all I punched in. 3 o'clock. A little overkill for one slice, maybe, but I wanted it piping hot. Lava mozzarella level. The kind of heat that burns your mouth but feels worth it. With a self-satisfied nod, I stepped away and pulled out my phone. I wandered into the living room and dropped onto the couch, falling into a mindless scroll of memes and cat videos. In the background, the microwave hummed, innocent and unaware. The world felt peaceful. Until it didn't. Exactly 2 minutes and 59 seconds later, a sound ripped through the apartment. Not a ding. Not a beep. No, it was something much, much worse. A sharp, echoing, violent bang, followed by a terrifying FFSSH. Like a flamethrower had just ignited a bag of plastic. My heart dropped. I leapt off the couch and sprinted to the kitchen. Smoke, thick, black, and fast, curling from the microwave like it was trying to escape something evil inside. The smell hit me a second later, bitter, chemical, and burnt beyond recognition. My eyes watered instantly. And the pizza, oh God, the pizza! It didn't even look like food anymore. It was charcoal bubbling slightly. The cheese had melted into a strange, shiny goo that cracked as it cooled. The microwave itself was hissing. Not sparking, not flaming, yet, but clearly on the verge of going full apocalypse. For a second, I just stood there, frozen, like my brain couldn't process how warming up a slice of pizza had somehow led to chemical warfare in our kitchen. Then I moved. I flung open the window. I waved my hands in the air like a madman. I grabbed the nearest towel and started flapping it around, trying to steer the smoke out. The extractor fan wheezed to life, but it was already too late. Behind me, I heard footsteps. Fast, bare, wet. Kyle! Celine's voice rang out, sharp and rising. I turned just as she came sprinting into the kitchen, a towel barely wrapped around her and shampoo still in her hair. Her face twisted in horror. What did you do? Then came Jess, holding her laptop like a shield, mouth agape. I opened my mouth to respond, to explain, to apologize, to confess. But all I could say was, I just wanted to heat up the pizza. The smoke was spreading fast now, snaking across the ceiling like a living thing. It had that dangerous color, not just gray but yellowish black, like something you'd see in a documentary about industrial disasters. The fire alarm hadn't gone off yet, but it was only a matter of seconds. Celine stormed across the kitchen, one hand holding her towel, the other flailing dramatically. Kyle, what the actual hell did you do? I just used the microwave. I stammered. 3 minutes. That's it. Jess coughed, waving her laptop in front of her face. Her eyes were watering, but she was too furious to care. Did you put the pizza in on a plate? Celine's eyes widened. You didn't. Tell me you didn't just throw it in bare. I mean, it's one slice. Oh my God. Celine ran to the hallway and flung the front door open. Do you have any idea how dangerous that is? Isn't the danger mostly theoretical? I asked. Jess glared at me like she was imagining my funeral. No, Kyle. No, it's not theoretical. It's right there. She pointed to the microwave, which by now was coated in soot and oozing some kind of sticky, molten cheese resin hybrid. The smell was worse now. Not just burnt food. It smelled like scorched rubber mixed with wet socks. And, weirdly maple syrup. The fan was doing absolutely nothing. I was still fanning the air with a dish towel like that would somehow reverse what I'd done. Celine turned on me like a judge delivering a sentence. "This is the second time this month," she said. "First, you left the kettle on and boiled it dry. Now this." "That was barely a thing," I muttered. "The kettle lived." "The kettle screamed," Jess said flatly. There was a beat of silence as all three of us looked back at the microwave. It let out a quiet pop, like a final insult, and then a curling trail of smoke drifted out through the open door. Jess crouched and peered inside, then recoiled in horror. "My pizza," she whispered. You killed it." I held my hands up in surrender. "Okay, look, I admit it. I may have slightly overcooked it, but technically it's still pizza-shaped." "Sort of. Pizza-shaped." Jess stood up straight. "It looks like the devil's hockey puck." Celine didn't even laugh. She crossed her arms and raised an eyebrow. "That was worse. Way worse. You're not touching kitchen appliances without supervision from now on," she said. "Wait, what?" Jess nodded in agreement. "Yeah, we'll set up a system. A rotation. Like a babysitting chart, but for you. I'm not 5. You set a microwave on fire, Kyle." I opened my mouth to respond, but yeah, no comeback. Suddenly, the hallway smoke detector gave a single loud beep. Not a full alarm, just a warning, like it was saying, "Fix this, idiot, or I will ruin your life." Celine gasped. "Open the balcony. Now." I didn't think twice. I grabbed the crispy pizza carcass off the counter, slid open the glass door, and stepped out into the cold night air. The breeze hit me like a slap. It was freezing, middle of February, and I was standing outside in shorts, a t-shirt, and slippers. My only possession, a scorched pizza slice, held like a sacrificial offering to the gods of fire safety. Behind me, the door swung closed. And then, click, the handle jiggled uselessly. No. I turned and rattled the door. Locked. I was locked out. I stood there on the balcony, gripping the burnt remains of a pizza slice, staring at the glass door in disbelief. Locked. I jiggled the handle again, hoping it was just jammed. Nope. Firmly shut. Unmoving. I was officially trapped on the third-floor balcony in February, dressed like I had just lost a bet. A sharp wind cut across my bare legs, and I immediately regretted everything I had ever done in life. My arms goosebumped. My teeth started to chatter. The charred pizza slice, still warm in my hand, was now my only source of heat, and even that was more symbolic than practical. I knocked. Lightly at first. Nothing. I knocked louder. Still nothing. Inside, I could see Jess in the kitchen, back turned to me, holding a can of Febreze and aggressively spraying it in circles. Celine had disappeared, probably hunting for a fire extinguisher or writing my name on a hit list. I knocked again, louder now, with desperation. No response. Then I remembered. The vacuum. Jess must have turned on to help suck out the smoke. Between that and the blaring extractor fan, they couldn't hear a thing. I was effectively screaming into the void. So I waved. Both arms. Big frantic gestures. The kind you'd use if you were lost at sea or trying to escape from a bear. Across the street, in the window of another apartment building, someone noticed. A teenager. 2 of them, actually, sitting on a couch, eating chips, watching TV. One looked over lazily, then nudged the other and pointed. They both turned to look at me. I froze. They tilted their heads. One of them raised his phone. "Wait, no." I tried to mouth through the glass, waving my arms in protest. Too late. The kid was already recording. And to be fair, from their perspective, it must have been hilarious. A grown man, barefoot, shivering, holding what looked like a blackened rat on a paper plate, banging on a glass door like he was trying to escape a mental institution. They laughed. Full-on belly laughs. One of them even zoomed in. I pointed to the door behind me. Tried to tell I'm locked out and let me in. They waved back, cheerfully, sarcastically. The wind picked up. I huddled closer to the door, using my body as a windbreak, balancing the tray of doom like a butler who had given up on life. Minutes passed. 5, 6, 7. The cold started to sink into my bones. My breath fogged up the glass. My knees started trembling, not from fear, from actual physical chill. Finally, just when I was debating whether to eat the burnt pizza just for warmth, the door creaked open. Are you? Celine stopped. Her mouth opened slightly. Seriously? She stood there in her towel, her hair now tied up in a wet bun, and gave me a look of pure existential disappointment. Jess poked her head out behind her, saw me, and just started laughing. Hard. Celine stepped aside wordlessly, like a bouncer letting a drunk man back into the club, out of pity. I shuffled inside, shoulders hunched, pizza slice still in hand. Smoke still lingered faintly in the air, like a reminder of my crime. Jess shut the balcony door behind me and clapped. I don't know what's better, the fact that you locked yourself out, or that you brought the pizza with you. I looked down at the slice. It had hardened into something that could probably be used as a tire iron. Celine sighed and turned away. I'm getting dressed. Then we're having a very serious conversation. Jess smirked. I hope you enjoyed your time on the balcony. Internet's gonna love that. I blinked. Wait, what? Oh, nothing, she said sweetly. You'll see. 10 minutes later, I was dry, dressed, and sitting on the edge of the living room couch like a child awaiting sentencing. Across from me stood Celine, now fully clothed, hair in a tight bun, arms crossed like a military instructor. Beside her, Jess lounged sideways in a chair with her laptop still in hand, wearing her trademark, I'm judging you but creatively smirk. She was typing something. I didn't know what. I didn't ask. I was scared to know. The room smelled better now, like air freshener, disinfectant, and burnt regret. Celine took a breath. All right, let's break this down. Oh, come on, I started. No, she held up one hand. You don't get to speak yet. Jess nodded solemnly. You have the right to remain silent. And honestly, we recommend it. I sighed and slouched deeper into the couch. Celine paced once across the room like a courtroom lawyer preparing her opening statement. Exhibit A. You microwaved a single slice of pizza for 3 minutes. Technically, it was 2 minutes and 50. She shot me a look so sharp it could slice toast. Exhibit B. You didn't use a plate. You just threw the slice in bare like some kind of caveman. I held up a finger. Okay, but... And she interrupted. You left it unattended. Walked away. Didn't even check it once. I was just in the other room. Jess leaned forward. Dude, the pizza exploded. The microwave nearly melted. There's cheese fused to the door. You cooked it like it was uranium. I threw my hands up. I was hungry. I didn't think the microwave would go nuclear. And then Celine continued. You opened the balcony, locked yourself out, and let 2 random teenagers film you holding a smoking pizza like a mental patient. That was not my fault. The wind shut the... Jess held up her phone and pressed play. There I was on screen, looking straight into the camera, holding the blackened pizza like it was sacred treasure, shivering, knocking on the door, mouthing something that looked like, please have mercy. Oh my God, I groaned. They posted it already? Yup, Jess replied. And it's already got comments. Want to hear some? No. Too bad. She cleared her throat. Bro's cooking skills are a hate crime. Pizza so burnt, NASA tried to land on it. When mom leaves you home alone for one night, faced with tears of joy fire. Celine shook her head. We have to take measures. I blinked. What kind of measures? The kind that protect the apartment. And the species. She stepped forward and handed me a handwritten contract on lined notebook paper. At the top, in bold Sharpie, Technology Restriction Agreement. Wait, what is this? Your new reality, Jess said. I skimmed it. No microwaving anything unsupervised. No stove access after 6 p.m. Kettle privileges revoked until further notice. Must make coffee for the apartment every morning for 3 days as penance. Must replace one sacrifice pizza. Extra cheese. Jess's choice. You're making me sound like a toddler, I said. You just proved you are one, Celine replied. Only toddlers get banned from using hot things. And YouTube, Jess added. If this goes viral, we're making merch. Merch? Celine raised an eyebrow. Would you prefer we charge you rent for the microwave repair? I signed. I had no dignity left anyway. The next morning, I woke up to chaos. My phone, which had miraculously survived yesterday's pizza holocaust by not being anywhere near me, was vibrating nonstop on the nightstand. Notifications were flooding in like I'd just announced I was dating a Kardashian. I blinked, groggy, reached for it, and immediately regretted it. 17 missed calls, 39 texts, dozens of tags. Most were from coworkers, some from friends, a few from people I hadn't spoken to in years. I opened Instagram. There it was, front and center. A video. My video. The balcony. Me. Pizza in hand, shorts flapping in the wind, banging on the door like a rejected raccoon. Zoomed in. Edited. With dramatic music. The caption? When mom leaves you home alone for one night, pizza fire. Hashtag microwave man, hashtag balcony fails, hashtag pizza crimes, hashtag send help. I stared at the screen in horror. Jess must have heard me scream because she appeared in the doorway, toothbrush in hand, smirking like a villain. Morning, celebrity. I blinked. It's got 3.2 million views. Celine appeared behind her, arms folded, sipping coffee. You're trending on TikTok, and not for your charm. I flopped back on my pillow. Please tell me this is a nightmare. Nope, Jess said cheerfully. The internet loves you. You're officially microwave man. Some guy even made a remix of your knocking. I sat up, eyes wide. A remix? She held up her phone. Listen, and there it was. A full-on dubstep remix, featuring the sound of me knocking on the glass. My distorted voice shouting Celine, let me in. The pizza sizzling like a beat drop. A woman's voice whispering too much cheese, like it was ASMR. Celine added, and I think someone's selling shirts now. I choked. What? Jess was still scrolling. Yep. Look, microwave man hoodies. Limited drop. $35 a pop. There's even one with your face on it. Mid-scream. I bury my face in my hands. How is this real life? I muttered. Celine patted my shoulder. Well, at least your 15 minutes of fame are deliciously embarrassing. Jess dropped onto the couch beside me. Honestly, I'm proud. We always knew you were destined for greatness. Just didn't think it'd involve carbonized mozzarella. I groaned. How am I going to show my face at work? Jess grinned. Funny you mentioned that. I stepped into the office the next morning like a man walking into a crime scene, where he was the suspect, the victim, and the murder weapon all at once. My palms were sweating. My hoodie, the only one I owned that didn't have pizza stains, felt too tight. I'd rehearsed my entrance in my head a dozen times, casual, indifferent, pretending I hadn't accidentally become a walking viral joke. None of that mattered, because the second I pushed through the glass doors, I saw them. Everyone was waiting. The receptionist, Mel, didn't even say good morning. She just raised an eyebrow and slid a box across the counter. Inside was a burnt piece of toast, crust black, center cracked, with a tiny sticky note. In loving memory of your pizza. Candle. I groaned. Mel smiled sweetly. There's more. I walked to my desk, or rather tried to, because taped to the back of my chair was a printout of me on the balcony, still frame from the TikTok video. Someone had added laser eyes, a flaming pizza in my hand, and the words, Microwave Man, born to burn. To make it worse, someone had gone the extra mile and created a meme wall behind me. A collage of screenshots. Me looking panicked through the glass. Me waving like a stranded hiker. A side-by-side comparison with a burnt Pop-Tart. I slumped into my seat. Derek, the guy from accounting, popped his head over the cubicle wall. Yo, legend. Want to grab lunch? I promise we won't use a microwave. Laughter erupted around the floor. I forced a smile. Huh. Very funny. He wasn't done. Also, we've started a betting pool. How long until you burn something else? I face-palmed. Can't wait to get HR involved. Oh, don't worry. They're in on it. He held up a laminated card. Fire safety reminder. Always supervise Kyle. I looked around. Everywhere, subtle grins, snickers, even the manager pretending to type while clearly watching the viral video on her second monitor. I was officially a walking meme. Later that day, I checked my email. Subject line, friendly reminder, no open flames near shared appliances, smiling face with smiling eyes. Attached was a GIF of me frantically waving on the balcony. From the building manager. I wanted to melt into the carpet. And the worst part? Jess had already texted me. Heard the meme wall is growing. Send pics, smiling face with horns. I replied with a single emoji. Skull. I thought I'd hit rock bottom. I thought the internet had done its worst. I was wrong. It happened that same evening. I came home late, hoping the girls would be asleep or at least too distracted by Netflix to continue torturing me. I stepped out of the elevator, walked toward our door, and instantly noticed something off. There was a note taped to it. Not a sticky note, not a folded letter. A full sheet of printer paper, centered, taped with 4 perfect strips of Scotch tape, like a school presentation. In bold black font, "If you're going to burn pizza again, please open the balcony door first. Everyone on floor 3. I stood there, keys in hand, mouth open. No signature, no smiley face. Just pure, neighborhood-level passive aggression. Someone had even drawn a tiny cartoon microwave at the bottom, with smoke coming out and angry eyebrows. I stared at it for a full minute. The door swung open suddenly. Jess stood there with a slice of pizza in one hand and a smug, knowing expression. "Hey, legend," she said, chewing. Saw the note. I didn't reply. I just walked past her, straight into the kitchen. Celine was there, sipping tea and scrolling her phone. She looked up with the most casual voice ever and said, "Oh, by the way, someone from across the hall asked if you'd be okay giving a microwave safety talk at the building's next tenant meeting." I blinked. That's not real. Jess followed behind me. "It is." She messaged the tenant group chat. "We have a group chat." Celine nodded. "Oh yeah, you're not in it. And now I'm what? The honorary fire marshal." Celine shrugged. "You're kind of famous around here now. I hate this timeline." Jess sat on the counter and took another bite. "Honestly, though, you should lean into it. Own it. You could probably get free pizza out of this." I scoffed. "Free pizza? From who?" "Domino's." She held up her phone. "Actually, someone on TikTok tagged you in a challenge. Microwave man versus air fryer. There's like a prize." I groaned and collapsed onto the couch. I can't go outside. I can't go to work. I can't even walk down my own hallway without being reminded that I turned lunch into a hazardous incident. Just then, there was a knock on the door. I froze. Jess opened it. Outside stood Mr. Patel, the sweet elderly guy from next door who always watered his plants at 6 a.m. sharp. He smiled warmly and handed Jess a Tupperware container. "This is for your roommate," he said. "Tell him this is what pizza is supposed to look like." Jess beamed. "Will do." I stared at the container in disbelief. Mr. Patel gave me a thumbs up, then turned and walked away whistling. Jess shut the door behind him, then held the container toward me like a sacred relic. "Look, Kyle, you've inspired a community pizza outreach program. That's got to mean something." Celine shouted from her room. "And don't forget, you're still on coffee duty tomorrow."